All right. We are live.
Lesson 22. Did we already go off?
Oh, can I be in a YouTube
Lesson
video?
21.
Yeah,
What?
We already go off.
I want to be in a YouTube video.
We went over to lesson 22, yes.
You should call my name
We
out.
went
So
over
I
to
can be
yesterday. You
famous.
made me sleep. I think yesterday was a sleepy day.
No, he'll get a lot of views in that video.
Do you guys need another one?
Everybody subscribe to me.
Find it. Find it. The one about participles. Lesson 21.
Yeah, I found
Cool. Hey, did you find it?
it.
Find it.
Subscribe. Do you have any YouTube out here?
No. All right. Okay, party people, here we go. All right, we're going to count it down. 5, 4, 3. All right. Today we are talking about participles and participial phrases. Now, yesterday we talked about gerunds. Gerunds are verbs ending in what?
ING.
That act like
Nouns.
nouns. There we go. Participles are verbs ending in ing or ed that act like adjectives. So, in our first example, the child watched the spinning top. Spinning is a verb. I can say I am spinning around. But in this case, it modifies or describes top. So it is an adjective. We admired the freshly planted flowers. I could say I planted flowers yesterday, and flowers or planted is a verb, but in this case, it describes flowers. Now, one thing that's going to help you when you're trying to figure out if something is a participle or not is to look for other verbs. This is a verb, and it takes the subject we. So we admired is the subject verb phrase in this sentence. It's not we planted. So if you have two ed words in one of these sentences, check and make sure one of them isn't the actual verb in the sentence. All right, let's go through exercise 1. We'll identify the participles or participial phrases. All right, for number 1, the winding road led to a large house on a hill. Obviously, winding has got to be my participle, right? It's the only thing that has an ing on it. Now, this is key. In a gerund phrase, you guys would include words after the gerund that give me more information about the gerund. Does road tell me more about winding? Or does winding tell me more about road?
Winding tells you more about road.
That means that winding road is not the phrase. The phrase in a gerund or in a participle never includes the word being described. Okay, number 2, knowing the answer, I raised my hand. What should I underline there? Knowing the answer. Now, the reason I included more in number 2's phrase is if I ask the question, knowing what, you would say knowing the answer. What word in number 2 is being described by knowing the answer? I. There we go. So notice I is not in the phrase. All right, for number 3, we have shaking. Again, hands is not involved because hands is what's being described. For number 4, we have guided by a strong sense of direction. Number 5 I like. All right, number 5 has the locked cage contained a Bengal tiger. I've got locked and I've got contained. One of those describes something. One of those is the verb. Which one is the verb? Which one's the one doing something? Contained. Good. So that means locked is my participle. Number 6, playing Major League Hockey. Notice for in like number 6 and number 4 and number 2, you've got the phrase at the beginning of the sentence set apart by a comma. That's a good clue. All right, for number 7, we see Jenny racing to the curb when, or for what? For the male, when every day. That is a very long participial phrase. For number 8, we have having discussed the matter at length. 9 and 10 or 8, 9, and 10 are very similar. You've got the participial phrase at the beginning of each sentence. Paying attention, I heard the lovely ringing in the distant bell tower. Ooh, this one's good. I've got the word ringing in there for number 9. What's the difference between ringing and paying attention? Paying attention describes I. What question does the word ringing answer? I heard what? I heard ringing. So ringing is actually a gerund. Very cool. All right. We saw Junko courteously thanking everyone. Thanking everyone. All right. For number 12, I listened to the Willow's sad creaking branches. Do I include branches in there? No, I don't, because the creaking describes branches. Good. That's a good sentence for spooky season. All right, finding the assignments difficult. Isra sought help from a tutor. Finding the assignments difficult. Oh, number 14 is good. Okay. I've got two ing words, during and pounding.
Pounding.
Pounding describes heart. Now, in previous classes, inevitably somebody underlines during. What part of speech is during? It's not a participle, because if it was a participle, der would have to be a verb, and I can't der. It's actually it's a preposition, which is, we don't usually encounter that one. Okay, having done my homework for number 15. Challenging for number 16. Winning for 17.
Sobbing.
Sobbing. Yep. It is sobbing. Good job. Okay, let's go to number 19. Shoop. Startled by the noise. And protected by his seatbelt. Okay. So 1 through 20 just tasked us with identifying. So here's what I'll do for exercise 2. I'll underline the participle or participial phrase, and you guys let me know what word it modifies. And we got to draw our arrows. All right, let's do this. Make this a little skinnier. All right. Having concluded my speech modifies what?
Precluded.
I. There we go. I like your confidence there. Dressed as a pirate modifies brother. My little are words that describe brother. The runners, tired from the race, rest on a nearby bench. Tired from the race modifies. There we go. It modifies runners. Having received her letter, I wrote her back right away. Having received her letter modifies what? I. Number 5 is very similar. Searching the room for my jacket. I found my hat instead. Number 6 is kind of the same structure. Tracked by the hunters. Deer, good job. Arriving after the bell is number 7's participial phrase. What does that describe? Those. The city's authorities felt a growing concern about the high crime rate. What does growing describe?
More.
Concern. So cities here is actually an adjective in and of itself because it has an apostrophe there. The concern was growing. All right, everyone came to the pep rally wearing the school colors. This is a good one. What does wearing the school colors describe? Everyone. It goes all the way back to the front. That juice derived from the leaves of the aloe plant is used to treat burns. Derived from the leaves of the aloe plant describes what? Juice. There you go. Good job. Disturbed by the lack of cooperation, the coach dismissed us early. Disturbed by the lack of cooperation is my participial phrase, and it describes coach. Rescued by the firefighters, the kitten was shaking. Rescued by the firefighters describes the kitten. You guys are like 12 for 12. Promising he'd be home on time, Jeff left for the movies. Got Jeff there. Good job. Number 14. What's the phrase in 14? Attracted by the food. Good job. And it describes insects. Good job. Yelling from across the field is for number 15. Russ reminded us to bring our uniforms. Yelling across the field describes what? Russ. All right. I think we can kind of breeze through these last ones. You guys are doing good. Uncovered by metal detector, or by my metal detector, that describes can. Ooh, what's number 17? Starting describes point. Covered with ice and snow for number 18 describes car. This one confused me. Confused. So Ty was confused. That doesn't describe Ty. That's the verb. Ty was confused by the note lying on the counter is my phrase. Describes note. And number 20, the dripping faucet. All right, we did it. All right, so the primary way you find a participle is to look for a verb ending in ing that acts like an adjective or also ends in ed. Remember, the verb ending in ing or ed has to act like an adjective. All right, guys, hope this helps. Make sure you've watched the gerund video as well. And then for those of you at home, make sure you take the gerund or participle quiz on Google Classroom. And